We're continuing to follow new and developing stories across Michiana impacting you, and right now we're keeping a close eye on this one.
Wearing some boots right now, and it doesn't feel too slick. That's because it's back down to a steady kind of rain out here this morning. And on top of that, I have seen several, about almost a dozen at this point, plows coming down here on Grape Road. Police say Carlo Calabrese bonded out here around 3:45. He was arrested and booked here at the St. Joseph County Jail around 12:30. Now, as for quarterback Tommy Reese, things are looking a lot more serious since he does face a felony charge.
Meanwhile, police say they still have no suspect in the murder investigation of 7-year-old Christiana Jackson. She was shot in the head Friday during a home invasion. She died Sunday at the hospital.
This is actually a hit-and-run accident. Apparently, the man was on his way to work riding his bicycle, headed south here on County Road 17 when he was hit by a car. That car took off. Police now looking for clues.
A major drug bust with Michiana ties. Feds say criminals used jail guards, one of the largest shipping companies in the world, and even a government agency to run a sophisticated drug cartel.
Now get this, a gas station employee here at the 7-Eleven tells me he was working, and when he heard the accident, he rushed out to do everything he could to help and actually pulled people out of the cars. The suspect did know the victim, and they can't exactly say how the victim died here this morning, how the woman died, but they are officially calling it a homicide, and the death, of course, appears suspicious. One victim was shot in the chest. That victim is in stable condition this morning. The second victim was shot in the hip, and police say the bullet traveled through his body, and he's now in critical condition.
Police are still trying to figure out exactly what happened, but witnesses say they saw two cars flying down Corby Boulevard, and one lost control and then slammed right into the house here. Now, friends, family, and neighbors are trying to wrap their heads around this sad and crazy accident.
My heart goes out to the family. My heart really goes out to the family.
Michelle Cephas says she's in awe, angry about the scene that unfolded right across the street from her house early this morning.
When I ran down the street, it was nothing but a big puff of smoke.
Underneath all of the rubble, firefighters found the body of Barbara Knapp, but it was so badly damaged they couldn't get a positive ID for hours. We know the 57-year-old lived here alone with her 2 dogs. One pup was missing, but later reunited with Knapp's son. Sadly, the other dog died.
When they brought that dog out, it was a big orange mango mess. It's unbelievable. And if the dog looked like that, oh my God. Oh my God.
It's tragic. The one place you ought to be safe is in your house. And to have this happen at this time of the night, it's sort of disheartening. It's sad. You should be safe in your house.
Sergeant Bill Krause says police are still interviewing witnesses and tracing the tire tracks. You can see some in the mud, etched deep into the grass in the front yard.
I'm not a structural engineer, but it took quite a bit of force to do that.
Now the house will come crashing down altogether, and McCaffrey is facing some serious charges.
You killed somebody. It's not right. It's not right at all.
Now, witnesses say drag racing may be involved, but officers are still investigating. Crews will be back here to finish demolishing the house early next week. In the meantime, Knapp's family and friends will continue to move her stuff out. In South Bend, Ashley Izbicki, ABC 57 News.
2 men, 17 and 19 years old, were shot near this intersection this morning. The crime scene tape is now gone, but marks of evidence are still on the ground. And for the woman who lives here, it's another nightmare right in her front yard.
The car comes up, just pow, 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 pow.
Michelle Shepard was asleep early this morning when this scene unfolded right outside of her house.
The guys that actually got shot, I know all 3 of them.
She says they were leaving a party and walking down California Street when the gunfire erupted.
I see this black car come down the street here, and I hear gunshots. 2, then like 3 more go off. And I heard the guy say, I've been hit, I've been hit, I've been shot.
She rushed around the corner to find a 17-year-old lying on the ground, covered in blood.
We couldn't tell where he was shot at. He was just bleeding furiously out the mouth and his nose. He couldn't even respond to anything.
Metro homicide detectives were at the scene for hours. Investigators marked the blood spots on the ground. You can still see the bright orange paint.
He was falling, he was losing consciousness. So his friend grabbed him and he fell over here. This is where he fell, his body lay here.
And he wasn't the only victim. A 19-year-old also got hit with a bullet and ran down Allen Street.
4 or 5 houses down. Shot also. Where was the police at?
That's the same question Shepard asked nearly 2 years ago when she was shot on her own front porch.
2 boys started shooting and shot me. I got shot in the right leg.
Crime scene tape is still tied around the railing on her back porch. She says now she's paranoid and always warns her neighbors to be careful.
It's scary, and I just wish they would do something.
Now, police say this double shooting might be connected to the shootings at the Century Center last weekend, since one of the victims was at that teen dance. Shepard says it all comes down to unresolved problems between groups of friends, and it needs to stop. In South Bend, Ashley Izbicki, ABC 57 News.
There's a lot of excitement and anticipation here at the Aquatic Center. Swimmers I talked to say it's not just about making Team USA, but also about beating their personal best at a meet they'll never forget.
We've been kind of training like professional athletes.
We're ready. I can tell that we're ready.
Freshman standouts Frank Dyer and Emma Reaney are putting everything they have into the water. Dyer's focusing on the 200 free. And for Reaney, it's all about the 200 individual medley. But this isn't her first time training for the trials.
When I walked in being that young and just like it's a spectacle. They put on a show, that's for sure.
At just 15 years old, Reaney swam her heart out to try and make the 2008 USA team.
I was a little starstruck as a 15-year-old, so walking in it was a little overwhelming. But I just think now I'll know the ropes, I'll know where to go, and it'll, you know, be a little bit easier this time around.
I have goosebumps just talking about it because there's no better place in America to be than Omaha, Nebraska.
Head coach Brian Barnes says he's keeping the women's team focused on swimming the way they've never swam before.
A lot of the athletes who make the Olympic team who weren't projected to make the Olympic team take the risk to do so.
And for the standout sophomores, it's all about risk, ambition, and courage. With each stroke, turn, and breath.
Best times are definitely a hope. Winning heats and then maybe semis. Making it back to semis would be really awesome.
This is going to be a big meet in USA swimming history. Really one of the most exciting times of our life, and we'll remember it for a long time.
Now, roughly 20 swimmers from the Notre Dame teams will be competing against stars like Michael Phelps starting June 25th in Omaha. They say there's no better place to be in the days leading up to 4th of July than with the best swimmers in the country competing for a spot on Team USA. Reporting at the University of Notre Dame, Ashley Izbicki, ABC 57 News.
This is ABC 57 News at 6.
A major multi-state drug bust with local ties. Right now, the FBI needs your help to catch 4 people still on the run this morning. And tonight, the South Bend community remembers 2 men shot and killed during a violent weekend on the city's west side. Plus, an impromptu overnight catch at a major league game makes national headlines. The video you won't want to miss is just ahead. Good morning, Michiana. Welcome to ABC 57 News. I'm Ashley Izbicki in for Keitha Nelson. We've been following new and developing stories overnight, but first, ABC 57 First Warning neighborhood meteorologist Monica Ott has a quick look at our forecast. Good morning, Monica. A major drug bust with Michiana ties. Feds say criminals used jail guards, one of the largest shipping companies in the world, and even a government agency to run a sophisticated drug cartel from California to Illinois to Indiana. We've uncovered new information about some of the men who are the major players. This morning, ABC 57's Tony Spahar lays out how our area played a part in this multi-state investigation. And here's a look at 4 people on the run right now. The FBI wants your help finding Audra Ekman, Jermaine Coleman, John Smith, and Kyle Whitlow. Stay with ABC 57 News both on air and online for continuing coverage on these FBI raids. Tonight, the South Bend community will gather to remember 2 men shot and killed in the Olive Street shooting. Police say 53-year-old Johnny Avance was shot inside his home on Olive Street. 55-year-old Donald Paris Sr. lived just across the street from Avance. Paris's family says he was coming home from walking his dog when he got caught in the gunfire. Witnesses say Brandon Biffle ran out of Avance's home and shot Paris multiple times. A prayer vigil will be held tonight at 5:45 at Christ Temple Apostolic Church on Elwood Avenue. Meanwhile, police say they still have no suspect in the murder investigation of 7-year-old Christiana Jackson. She was shot in the head Friday during a home invasion. She died Sunday at the hospital. Funeral plans have been finalized. It will be held Saturday beginning at 10 at Agape Missionary Baptist Church. That's on West Wolf Avenue in Elkhart. A family fund has been set up at Key Bank to help the Jacksons pay for services. It's a shocking and sickening story out of New Jersey. A 2-year-old is dead after police say his own mother decapitated him. Police say 33-year-old Siobhan Thomas slit her own throat after stabbing her son multiple times, decapitating him, then placing the toddler's head in the freezer. This morning, we have audio of the disturbing 911 call. Sources say police believe Thomas smoked marijuana laced with PCP before committing the gruesome crime. A neighbor also says she saw Thomas topless outside. And here's a tragedy out of Louisiana. A 6-month-old infant is dead after police say her dad, a hospital employee, left the child in the car while working. Police found the girl's body in a hospital parking lot. They say the baby's father accidentally left her in the Range Rover. Detectives say they have not filed charges against the father. President Obama spent a second day hitting the Republican ticket on education during a speech in the crucial swing state of Nevada. He also touched on the economy and urged the crowd to vote. After Vegas, it's on to New York for the so-called Obama Classic. The event includes former and current professional basketball players. Michael Jordan co-hosts the dinner. Tickets went up for about $20,000 a pop. Meanwhile, Mitt Romney continues to hammer the president, arguing that his administration has been chipping away at economic freedoms. Behind Romney, you'll notice a small group of business owners on stage, all wearing shirts with large white font that read, "Government didn't build my business, I did, built by us." The time now 6:07. Right now, police want this man off the streets. They say he robbed a First Source bank on South Bend Avenue around 10:30 Wednesday morning. He was wearing a very distinctive gray costume beard. Officers say he showed two tellers his gun and demanded money. After getting the cash, he took off. Deputies in LaGrange and Elkhart counties could soon be making some arrests after a series of burglaries. Since July, crooks have broken into nearly a dozen homes. Police say the thieves usually targeted neighborhoods on Sunday mornings while the homeowners went to church. Yesterday, a LaGrange County detective working on the case told us suspects have been identified and they could soon be locked up. A widowed grandmother pulled some daring moves that may have saved her life. A 69-year-old Elkhart woman was robbed at gunpoint in her home off County Road 12. Shirley Neely says the two gunmen told her to stay under covers in her bed and keep her hands where they could see them. But she managed to activate her Lifeline medical device for help. But before help could get there, they ripped it off her neck and took off with some of her stuff. The gunmen got into the house through the unlocked front door. A mistake Neal says she won't make again. It was a busy night for emergency crews along US 20. In just 1 hour, they had to tackle two different three-car pileups. Just ahead, ABC 57's Jesse McDonough shows us how it all went down. Plus, it's the catch scene around the world. The video that'll have you talking is up next. Welcome back. The time now 6:11. Talk about a lucky catch. A man surprised his fellow fans in the crowd and at home during a Major League Baseball game. Get this. He caught a foul ball with his hat. You've got to see this. It happened overnight at New York Citi Field Stadium. You can see as he reaches out and catches the ball with only the web of his cap. The Colorado Rockies took on the New York Mets and went on to beat the Mets 5-2. It's the Rockies' 7th straight victory at Citi Field. We were talking about this earlier, and you know, we're going to the Silverhawks game on Sunday with everyone here from ABC 57, and maybe that'll be my goal out there to catch a foul ball.
Yeah, just bring a hat. I know a lot of people usually bring a there you go. A lot of people usually bring a catcher's mitt or, you know, a ball glove.
They've been the target of many baseball fans' frustrations, but this morning a Major League umpire is being hailed a hero. In Arizona, Diamondbacks employee collapsed while walking around the stadium. Thankfully, though, veteran umpire Jim Joyce was nearby. He performed CPR and saved her life. The woman still isn't sure what caused her to collapse. And speaking of the Diamondbacks, former South Bend Silverhawk Tyler Skaggs made his big debut with the Major League team Tuesday. The 21-year-old pitcher started for Arizona against the Miami Marlins. He even helped lead the team to a 3-2 win. Skaggs played with South Bend back in 2010. Well, Notre Dame's newest undergrads fought for a good view to catch the Irish in action this fall. Freshmen started lining up early Wednesday morning to score tickets, and they didn't even go on sale until 4 that afternoon. For just $230, they get tickets for all of this year's home games. Reefer Roundup. The drought may have ruined crops, but it's helping cops. In just 2 minutes, we'll show you how it led police to more than 100 pot plants. Plus, Republicans may have an unwanted visitor at their national convention in Tampa, while experts say there's a good chance the city could be flooded by next week. Good morning, Michiana. Welcome back. It's now 6:17. The drought may have ruined crops, but it's helping cops. Turns out police have the dry conditions to thank for helping them find more than 100 marijuana plants. Indiana State Troopers started their annual marijuana blitz Tuesday. On the first day, officers seized and destroyed more than 100 plants. They say the weed was easier to spot because of the dry weather this summer. The cornfields in Clark, Scott, and Harrison counties were very brown, but the cannabis plants were green and lush. Now let's head to Las Vegas, where the rain is no stranger. This morning, drivers are having to slowly maneuver through some pretty bad conditions. Take a closer look at this flooding. It's led to dozens of emergency calls for accidents and stranded drivers. Some roads are underwater. Air travel has been affected too, with flights delayed because of heavy rain. Republicans may have an unwanted visitor at their national convention in Tampa next week. Experts say the city could be flooded if Tropical Storm Isaac strengthens and heads that way. Tampa's mayor says if the storm comes that way, public safety trumps politics. It would be the second straight Republican convention affected by a big storm. Tampa officials say they're ready and have a solid evacuation route planned. But thankfully, we haven't seen that amount of rain for quite a while. And do we have any storms in the forecast?
Not really.
An explosive new chapter in the Penn State sex abuse case. For the first time, we're hearing from the former president of Penn State about the sex scandal involving former football coach Jerry Sandusky. ABC's Josh Elliott went toe-to-toe with him in a broadcast exclusive. Take a look. It was a tough night for emergency crews in Elkhart County. Along US 20, first responders were called to two different three-car pileups, all within 1 hour. And get this, the crashes were only about a mile apart. This morning, ABC 57's Jesse McDonough has the latest developments on the victims' conditions. This morning, Casey Anthony is only hours away from freedom. Starting at midnight, she's allowed to go wherever she pleases. Find out why in just 2 minutes.